Major League Rugby, which is the highest level of rugby competition in North America, began its sixth season on February 17th today. This season, 12 teams from the US and Canada will be competing for the MLR Shield. Rugby has now expanded into South Florida with the addition of the Miami Sharks. To Major League Rugby, they are expected to start competing in the 2024 season. Today, we are pleased to be speaking with Major League Rugby's Executive Director, Nick Benson, who will offer more information on the current status of the sport and the future he sees for rugby in America. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thanks. Okay, so now the sixth season of Major League Rugby begins today, February 17th. Is there anything new fans can expect this season?
Sure. I mean, this season is going to be probably our most exciting season yet. We'll have two new teams. Sorry, one new team coming online, Chicago. They'll be playing at a new stadium at the same time. Two new stadiums will be coming online. San Diego will be playing at Snapdragon Arena, and Chicago, New York will be moving into a new stadium as well. So, across the league, we're seeing our teams get better. Get better facilities, build their infrastructures, and just do better across the board and find new ways to expand their markets and bring rugby to their cities.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, you've expanded your fan base to most of the major cities in US and Canada. We mentioned earlier that South Florida will now have its very own team in 2024, the Miami Sharks. Please tell us more about them and how MLR executives intend to grow rugby in South Florida.
Sure. So we're very excited. We're very excited about the Miami team coming online. They're a fantastic ownership group. They're headed up by Marcos Galperin, who's the founder of Mercado Libre, one of the biggest e-commerce platforms in South America, or really all of Latin America. They've got Coney Strazzolini and Alejandro McFarland are a couple of their other owners, all very successful businessmen. They bring a ton of sort of expertise and knowledge on how to launch businesses, how to build businesses. They bring a new level of sophistication to the room. So we're very, very excited about what they're going to do. They're out there building their plans. I mean, I think what they're going to be doing in Miami is not unlike what we're doing right now in 12 other markets, right? We're going to be focused on driving fans, putting butts in seats, creating new fans for the sport. And the way you do that is by exposing them to the sport. Right. This is it's a high impact. It's personal. It's fast. It's nonstop action. Once people are exposed to rugby, they love it. So all we need to do is make sure we get them there. That, and then the other piece of it is, and this will probably come up again later, is we have to evangelize the sport. We need to get kids playing the sport. It's a sport that has a great sort of set of values behind it. It teaches you sportsmanship, how to lose with grace, how to work harder, and you can learn all of these things, from the sport. So the more that we can do with Miami to help them build out their grassroots programming, get rugby into more schools, help use rugby to create opportunities. That's the roadmap. That's the roadmap for Miami and really for any team.
Yeah, we want to gain more participation, right? So, well, with that in mind, how does Major League Rugby intend to recruit athletes of the future from a grassroots level? I mean, and can you give us some more information about the Grassroots Development Incentive Program that I read about?
Sure. Sure. There's a lot to it, right? It goes from sort of under 10 level rugby all the way through to our academy structures, and it starts with thinking of it as the top of the funnel, thinking of it as the beginning of getting kids interested in the game, selling their parents on what a great game it is for their kids to play. So every team is doing clinics before matches to get new kids out, get a rugby ball in their hand, boys and girls, right? To try to grow that fan base. That's the number one pathway that we're gonna be able to employ over the long term to get new talent and new players into the game. The more people who are exposed, the more people who played it, the more people are going to come to the game and see that as a professional pathway. as you go through kind of the age grades, our MLR teams have partnerships with schools. They have partnerships with after school programs. They have partnerships with Parks and Rec, Parks and Recs and Boys and Girls Clubs and YMCAs. And they send, coaches and even players out to teach kids the game. And that's the first piece. It's just broadening that base of who's playing the game and getting them excited and passionate. And then the next step is building that infrastructure into the teams, right? So you're pulling out, you're identifying the best talent from those teams, you're putting them in academies, you're getting them access to the best coaching that's available, you're getting them access to the best sort of nutrition advice and S&C advice, and getting them through the pathway and into those teams. And so the GDIs that you mentioned, the grassroots development incentives, those are really just a set of mechanisms that we created at the league level that are designed to encourage teams to run and succeed at those programs, right? So by having an academy team that's robust and play and meets certain criteria, or by having grassroots programs that meet certain criteria and gets a certain number of kids into the game, those teams get allocated extra salary cap. So now there's an incentive for teams to invest in developing the game locally rather than bringing in, flying in talent from overseas. There's always going to be space for talent from overseas. It's important, but we want to really focus on developing the game here in the United States.
Right. Okay. Well, it's a matter of getting the parents involved as well. I mean, I was a soccer mom, and I like rugby. So okay.
Well, we'll have to get you to a game. We'll have to get you to a game in Miami soon in 2024.
I'd love to see a live game.
Awesome. We'll get you out to one.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. The prize for North American rugby is the MLR Championship Shield. Where can fans tune in to watch televised rugby matches?
Well, so right now we'll have a national package on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2. We'll have 2 games this weekend, this Saturday, on those platforms. And then there's the Rugby Network, therugbynetwork.com is our OTT platform. All of our matches make it there at some point, mostly live, a couple on delay because of rights issues. But that's normal. And a ton of other rugby is there. We've got community rugby, we've got college rugby, we've got sort of shoulder programming, podcasts about rugby. So, it really is, it's a content hub. So anyone who wants to watch rugby, learn about rugby, should go to the Rugby Network.
Well, it's an English sport. Didn't it originate sort of over in the UK?
Yeah, the story is that and I'll probably butcher it, and I'll get a lot of emails about it.
Go ahead.
But the story is that William Webb Ellis, who was a student at rugby school, picked up the ball and ran with it during a soccer game, and it was like something like 1823, and that was how the sport started.
Right. Okay. Well, it's a safer sport, right? It's than football, American football. Wouldn't you say?
The culture of it is safer. I think the lack of sort of armor, encourages people to look to tackle safely. And then there's just a lot of emphasis, from World Rugby, from USA Rugby, and from MLR on sort of finding ways to make sure we keep the game safe.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. The Men's Rugby World Cup will be held in the United States in 2031, right? While the Women's World Cup will be held in 2033. Can you tell us how MLR intends to prepare for these major sports events?
Sure. I mean, we work hand in hand. Excuse me. Sorry, something pop up. We work hand in hand with USA Rugby and with World Rugby, sort of on a day-to-day basis. Our piece of the puzzle for how we make that tournament a success is really 2 things. Like the first is just keep driving the popularity of the sport, keep getting more kids in the game. Our grassroots programming is kind of our one of our silver bullets in terms of how we make this sport relevant to national media and how we make it grow on the national stage. So we need to keep driving that. We need to keep driving that into new markets where where we don't necessarily have teams, right? There are great rugby markets where I think we can make a big difference where we don't quite have an MLR team yet. That doesn't mean we won't in the future, right? But
Right.
one of the best things we can do also to prepare a market for a future team is to have a really robust grassroots program. So we're working with USA Rugby. We've got two or three different projects that we're hoping we'll be able to announce soon that we're doing hand in hand with the governing bodies to really drive grassroots, to get more rugby being played in colleges and junior colleges, and do all of the things that we need to do to drive the popularity of the sport as a participation sport.
Yeah.
I think the other piece of that is just we just need to keep improving, building our product, putting great rugby on TV,
Yeah.
up-speccing our production, driving fan engagement and creating new fans for the sport who maybe are people who have never played rugby. At the end of the day, anyone can be a fan. So like participation is one piece of the jigsaw puzzle, but anybody can be a fan. You can be a fan even if you've never played rugby, right?
A spectator fan.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we'd love to get more fans to the game, more exposure to the game, finding new ways and innovating new ways to engage and reach out to new fans by showing them the game, showing them the values of the game, some of the things that I grew up with the game that we all know makes rugby special.
Yeah. Well, that sport is being played almost all around the world, right? What are the major cities though that we have rugby teams? What are the rugby teams that stand out for you?
For MLR?
Yes.
Well, we've got teams in 12 cities right now, so I'm gonna rattle them off as best I can, and I always forget one, so I'm gonna get in trouble. But
Okay.
we've got Seattle, San Diego, we've got a great team here in Utah. We've got two teams in Texas. We've got Dallas and Houston. We've got New Orleans, then you go across. We've got Atlanta. We're introducing Chicago this year. We're very excited about that.
Okay.
We got Washington, D.C., New York, New England. A team plays just outside of Boston, and Toronto.
Okay. And then we have
12.
the Miami Sharks next year.
Miami Sharks will come online next year, and we're very excited. I'm very excited about that one.
Me too. Okay. Well, listen, our audience is largely Caribbean, as you know, and many are already familiar with the rugby game, right? We have a few teams in various Caribbean islands. How do you intend to engage with their demographic and encourage interest in American rugby specifically?
I mean, I think it's the same. It's the same as we would. It's the same as we would with everyone else, right? I mean, our mission is to be a sport for everyone, right? So as we're going in, to Miami, as we're going into some of these cities that have large Caribbean demographics, it's the same playbook, right? You have to reach out to the schools, reach out to the parents, and just get rugby balls in the kids' hands, right? And once they do, they'll fall in love with the game. I think we have tremendous confidence in our product, right? Like we know rugby's a great sport. We know it's great to watch. We know it's fun to play. So if we can just get the sport in front of people, get them participating and engaged, then I think we'll be great. And the other piece to it is also really up-speccing and driving the fan experience, right? So when you come to your first Miami Sharks game, right, it's making sure that you have a great experience from the second you leave your car. Not even that, from the second you drive your car into the parking lot to the second you leave that parking lot at the end of the game, right? So what's going on in the fan fest outside the stadium, right? What's going on inside the stadium in between sort of breaks in play? What are we doing in the stadium to educate you about what's going on the field, right? As a new rugby fan, right? Everything that we need to do is as much educational as it is about just showing people this great and sort of dynamic and vibrant game. We also need to explain to you like what's happening and
you
why
can also feel the energy,
That's right.
But, it's just, I know what it's like going to a game, it's so, well, how also how do you create the teams that would compete with each other? I mean, if we wanted Caribbean teams to compete with American teams, is that a possibility?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think the process has typically been, we'll have a group that's interested in starting a team, in the city, and it's hard, right? It's not
Yeah.
easy. And we would work with that group. They would approach the league, and we would go through an expansion process. We would educate them on what it takes to own and run an MLR team. We would educate them on our standards and what they need to do in order to in order to meet those standards.
Okay.
And then similarly, we have to educate them about the league and who we are. And it's just like any business, like any business transaction, we have to go through that process with them. And then, eventually they would join. So, we're I think it would be great. I think I'd love to have a team in the Caribbean. I think it would be fun.
Yeah,
And if anyone out there is looking to start one, reach out. We'll
I
chat.
think so. Yeah, I think we could compete, Oh,
I'm sure.
yeah, we're okay. So lastly, can you also talk about the RTIC partnership with Major League Rugby and how fans may benefit this year from that?
Sure.
The
Yeah,
partners, the
sure. I mean, I think,
sponsors.
um, sorry, sure. I just
Oh,
lost my train of
sorry.
thought for a second there. Yeah, no, we're very excited. We're very excited to have Arctic on board. It's a unique sponsorship for us. It's kind of it's got a obviously there's a traditional sponsorship components, but we're going to have their products on all of our sidelines. We'll have them at our tailgates. They'll be branded with team apparel. So if you're a Seawolves fan, you'll be able to buy Arctic products branded with your team's with your team's marks. So that's look, it's an exciting sponsorship just from the product perspective. But what's also exciting about any sponsorship with a sort of premier property like Arctic is the opportunities for the kind of products and the innovations and the activations that we can build together over time, and how we sort of work to combine sort of our fan base with their customers and find new ways to sort of super serve that population. So I think it's an exciting sponsorship. We're excited to have a brand like that come on board with us. It's really big for us, and we're excited to see how it goes.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. You've given us a great quick rundown of rugby. Thank you so much, Executive Director Nick Benson, for the opportunity to speak with you and enlighten and encourage more participation in this sport. I wish you well.
Thank you
And
so much for having
great
me.
things happening. I think so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care now.
Take care now.
Good luck. Bye-bye.